Hey, in this video, I'm trying to beat the Black Ops 2 campaign without killing anyone. I don't know if I'll make a series out of this. We'll see. Oh, if only this guy knew what he was getting into. Almost 2 months later, here I am. I'm not gonna insult your intelligence by explaining the rules of pacifism to you. All I'm gonna say is that I have timestamps in the description if you're a returning viewer and you want to skip past the first two missions since I already covered them. Those videos are now deleted and have been merged into this one with a few tune-ups. Anyway, like the video if you find yourself liking the video, and let's get into it. You love to see it. Not the guy burning to death. I mean Mason. Not even a minute into the video and Mason has already gotten used to the idea of trying to minimize the casualty count and save lives rather than take them. It's a shame that Civinvi would rather go shoot a bunch of people in an open prairie than join Mason on his path to righteousness, but he knows where Mason's BFF is, so I guess we'll go help him. I hopped in his monster truck for a bit, then he screamed right in my ear, and I decided that I would probably be better off walking. Here, I was met with my first enemies, two goofballs with machetes trying to bonk me on the head, completely ignoring any other armed military personnel in the area to kill the one dude that wasn't shooting back. I ran away for like 2 minutes, and then they just kind of both randomly died when I wasn't looking. That's 1 point for Bammer, 0 for random idiots. After that, I had to figure out how to get rid of these mortar crew guys, since the mission wouldn't progress unless they all died. I immediately figured out that you could run onto them, causing them to pee their pants from the shock that their plan to sit out in the open and launch bombs at people 40 feet away didn't work. Once separated from their mortars, they seemed like more or less normal enemies now, so I tried to bait them over to friendly lines, where I quickly found out that my squad was useless and wouldn't do anything against them, most of the time just running up to them, allowing them to gun them down. However, my team wasn't as useless as I first thought, and they were able to kill somebody while I wasn't looking, trying to find Civinvi, so I could yell at him for this stupid idea. The off-screen death of the generic mortar crew goon was actually pretty huge, as it implied my allies could actually kill these enemies. So, for the next few minutes, I just lured the mortar crew over to my allies, and eventually the problem resolved itself, and I was able to move on to the next section. Oh fuck, how am I supposed to do this?
Mason, I'll provide air support on your word. Tanks, Hudson! Beginning strafing run. Damn it, I'm taking fire from the ground. Sooner or later, one of them is going to get lucky. Nice work, Hudson.
He didn't do anything.
Truck's targeting you. I can't make another pass till you take out those MG trucks. I'm doing them.
Oh god. Similar to my real life, I was immediately met with some bullshit hindrance as soon as I made an inch of progress. These MG truck guys seemingly wouldn't take damage from my allies, and I had to, at the minimum, kill the gunners to progress. The first idea I had was to scare them off of the trucks like I did with the mortar crew earlier. When that didn't work, I tried to just take a nap in the flatbed, hoping that my allies would eventually kill the gunner. I was given a slight light at the end of the tunnel here when I saw that the machine gun seemed to be damaging the truck, or at the minimum, it was hitting the truck. But this wasn't very fruitful, and I don't really think that it did damage to the truck at all. A flashbang also didn't work. My next idea was to do essentially what Batman does, gravely injuring his opponents but not actually being the one to pull the trigger. I quickly found out that it was roughly 26 foul shots to destroy a truck. I then shot both trucks roughly 24 times in the hopes that a stray bullet would just randomly blow them up, allowing me to progress without killing anybody. Unfortunately for me, this is a pacifist challenge, so this meant the most obvious solutions wouldn't work and I would have to find some random obscure bullshit if I wanted to progress. Wait, what? What? He got off his gun. Wait, he got off his gun. He got off his gun. Look at that. He's shooting and firing the MG. I need to recreate that. I don't know how I did that. I need to recreate that. Oh my god. Wait, this could actually be possible. I just need to get them off of the MGs. Wait, I like knife the car and... Oh my god. Oh my god. So, really quickly, what actually happened there? I'm not totally sure. It seems like if an MG truck enemy has already been injured and you melee the vehicle, the game gets confused and kind of separates the enemy from the MG. Meaning that to the game, I got rid of the MG gunner, but I didn't actually kill him, allowing me to call Hudson for another chopper gun strafe that I didn't shoot anything on. Oh my god, it worked again.
They are weak! We must finish them! My friend from above! You killed many men today, huh? Yes! We all did!
I guess Savimi was a little too busy screaming like a lunatic to acknowledge my heroics here, as he maliciously implies that we all took part in this barbaric activity, when in reality, he should have said, you killed many men today! We all did! Except for Mason.
Where is he? He's being held captive by a Nicaraguan gunrunner! A very dangerous man! Where? About 2 miles north. He's on a transport barge on the Tubango River. He may already be dead! Let's go, Hudson!
Savimi displays his utter inability to pay attention one more time before we leave by implying that Woods might be dead, when literally anybody would know he wasn't if they paid attention to the opening cutscene, which takes place in 2025. Next up was the barge segment, and I was feeling pretty hopeful. But before we get into that, we're gonna have to address the elephant in the room. After Mason jumps off of the helicopter, he gets a little bit angry. But this happens in a cutscene, so I'm not responsible for it. My hopefulness continued in the next segment, where it was made clear to me that Hudson was at least able to kill enemies. He was able to kill most of them fairly quickly. The problem stemmed from when a little boat came up alongside the barge and begun to shoot at us. A guy on there had an RPG and Hudson seemed unable to kill him. To make my life even more fun, once he was distracted, he wasn't really interested in dealing with the people on the barge anymore. On top of that, I had dickheads with machine guns behind us and other boats constantly shooting at me and lowering my health. So it was a constant battle to stay alive on the barge. I didn't really have any better ideas other than to kind of wait the gunboat out and hope that Hudson would just kill everyone on it if I waited long enough. It's worth noting that I died here a fair amount due to the constant rockets and machine gun fire, and Hudson didn't exactly make retries any easier. Hudson actually reminds me quite a bit of the average person with ADHD. unable to focus on literally anything for longer than 4 seconds even if his life depended on it. He'd constantly run towards the back of the barge instead of doing his job, and his performance during this section really brought a new meaning to the term Special Forces. There wasn't too much of note for the next 30 minutes. I kind of just hung out and let Hudson do his thing, even if he was horribly inept at said thing. While fooling around on the boat, I made a pretty big discovery in that I could actually flashbang the RPG guy. More so, if I flashbanged him enough times, he just kind of fell off of the boat. At first, I thought that I killed him, so I reset the mission. After a few more unsuccessful attempts, I decided to prove to myself that flashbangs weren't lethal, so I threw literally 12 at a guy and he didn't die. This proved to me at least that I didn't kill the guy on the boat with the flashbangs, and he just fell off, where he would obviously be rescued by a rescue crew momentarily after our little escapade. So, that's what I did. I knocked him off, and he was gone. Of course, though, my troubles weren't over. The driver of the boat was still persistent, and literally everything I tried to get rid of him wouldn't work. I at first thought maybe I could flashbang him, causing him to, like, stop the boat or something, but that didn't work. I even ended up retrying, doing the whole mission again, just so I could throw different tactical grenades at them. The shock charges seemed to, like, shock him. You can see the lightning effect, but he wasn't affected. So I resignated myself to shoot this poor innocent man in the head. It's not my fault. He got tased like 100 million times and he still wouldn't stop the boat. So we can at least sleep easy at night knowing that this is self-defense. He made me do it. Alright, next part. Let's go. The next part wasn't really hard at all. For some reason, Hudson's brain started working here and he was able to actually act like someone with 30 years of military experience. I moved on to the next part pretty easily. Inside the shipping container, things were worse than I thought. Woods had gone on a date with a Hello Kitty girl and wasn't able to walk anymore. So we had to try and get them out of there while a helicopter tried blowing us up. Oh, the ladders are gone. Hudson, I mean, this is not safe. We should leave. Hudson ignored my pleas, and if I didn't shoot the helicopter down within about 40 seconds, I would automatically get mission failed. So I sadly had to shoot it down. You might think that this counts as a death, but I actually have some evidence to prove otherwise. You know what I don't see in there? I don't see bodies. What a relief. It was one of those unmanned helicopters, you know, like a drone or something. I've been hearing a lot about those lately. Anyways, the kill count is still at 1 because I could not prove for the life of me that I did kill someone there.
Do you need to be reminded of just how I deal with those who fail me? Mullah Rahman. Do not concern yourself with local politics.
Mason gently suggests to the radio operator to turn on Kids Bop 2025, already knowing that calling Savimbi for help is pointless because he has ADHD like Hudson does and wouldn't pay attention. This causes the radio operator to have a meltdown, and pretty soon things got a little out of hand after I accidentally let slip in a moment of anger.
Shut up!
Él piensa que está en control, pero él no
I
es.
say shut up! Lower your weapon! I swear to God, I'll kill this bastard!
Los americanos no saben nada sobre la lealtad. Quizás nosotros deberíamos demostrar.
You son of a bitch!
I really wish I could sit here and act like the last part of this mission was super hard. A monumental challenge, the hardest I've faced yet, since that sort of thing usually does a pretty good job at retaining viewer retention. Sadly for me, this part was easy. All I did was throw a bunch of flashbangs and refill them at the ammo caches. After not too long, I was able to complete the mission.
Come on, Frank. Come on, we're getting out. You thought I would leave you, huh?
Yes, Savimbi, I did. Your crippling ADHD made me think that you forgot about me the literal moment that you took your eyes off of me.
Well, we got him, Mason.
You good?
Harper and I had arrived at Menendez's favorite Zaza sesh place. As his ops, we were hoping to catch him lacking and slide on him and his huz for real. Sadly, we weren't there to catch Menendez himself, but his Bloods, Crips, and huz were still on the table, so my team was tasked with getting rid of them. Uh-oh. Oh, they caught me. Uh-oh. Hey, dude, no, we can both ride the elevator, come on. Let's go. Oh my god, dude, these guys are mania. These guys are way better than Hudson, oh my god. As the prior clip suggested, my team was a complete force of nature to be reckoned with during this mission. They killed literally everything in their way, and all I had to do to make them do it was move up, which, given that I was playing on the lowest difficulty, was fairly easy to do. Dude, look at that, that is amazing. It was here that I was met with a slight moral quandary. Do turrets count as kills? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say no, they're just dumb machines. However, as a bonus objective, I will try as hard as possible to spare any and all machines in the future. In this instance, I was able to just run past the turrets, causing my team, who have all been diagnosed with separation anxiety, to run and try to catch up to me. From there, it was only a matter of time of luring enemies out into their sight lines and letting them shoot them. Inside of the base, I gained access to the optical camouflage, the most broken thing in this entire game. I was in the middle of testing it out, showing all my friends how cool I was, when bam, your mom farted, causing me to fall on my ass in panic.
Please, don't hurt me.
Okay, come on out. This lab is linked to a known terrorist. Start talking or I will hurt you.
Whoa, Harper. Yeah, that's a war crime. You can't torture people in war. It's been brought to my attention that Harper here is a little bit of a loose cannon. So, aside from tracking kills, we will also be tracking how many war crimes Harper commits throughout the video and throughout the series. Anyways, this next section also wasn't hard, given that we had an AGR rolling around shooting everybody. Although I did try to put down shields to help my teammates, it didn't really end up mattering, and we progressed through very quickly. Sorry man, didn't mean to shoot you twice. Oh, I think I messed up the cutscene a little bit.
Whoa, 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 hey, 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 hey!
I like how no one was watching the exit.
Get a sit rep on the support team.
Yeah, similar to the last video, it seemed like the ending part was by far the easiest. My team was just absolutely steamrolling through literally anyone who got in their way, and it seemed like nothing could stop them. Move. Move up, yes, do that, I like that. Just getting absolutely rolled by my team right now, oh my god. However, what really did it for me, the real cherry on top, was when I remembered my childhood days playing the game and remembered that you can just run through the last part of the mission without having to wait for your team.
It's Briggs! Stand down! It's the extraction team! Boy, are you a sight for sore eyes.
I guess we can call this mission accomplished.
Admiral Briggs, good to see you.
You too, Sachin. Cocksucker.
Here we have it, the mandatory desert mission in literally every video game ever. Woods and I were here to find out who set him up on the date with the Hello Kitty girl from the first mission. We met up with the homies, and I was peer pressured by the voices in my head into picking up the coolest sword out of that skeleton. Fine, I'll take it. You convinced me, I'll take it. After that, we had a boring meeting with a bunch of losers, and it was finally time for my first combat encounter. The objective in this area was to blow up 2 of these BTR tank thingamajigs. If you don't do it, the mission won't progress and you're trapped there for eternity. As you can imagine, I very quickly ran out of ideas here. The BTRs had to go and none of my friends wanted to help me. My best idea was getting enemies to just throw frag grenades on the tank and blow it up for me. But after about 4 grenades, I just figured it wasn't going to work out. Ironically, these guys pulling up in the tanks is what actually ended up getting them killed. All I could do now was blow up the tanks while ensuring nobody else died, to which I had varying degrees of success, but eventually succeeded. We had your mom fart on the archway so no more tanks could get through that way, and I was off to the next section. Oh, great. You want to know what the next section is? Fighting more vehicles that nobody can damage except me. So awesome. To make things even better, the base that they were shooting at had a hidden health bar that would fail the mission when it hit 0. There were also a bunch of easily run-overable morons running around shooting at me, and my so-called friends wouldn't defend me at all. Like the last segment, there was really no wiggle room here. You had to blow up 2 tanks, a helicopter, and then another 2 tanks to progress. All I had to worry about was not blowing up anything or anybody extra, and I was good to go. The rest of the mission went pretty well, I guess. All we had to do was go capture an ammo dump or cache or something. There was an annoying helicopter constantly shooting missiles at only me, but besides that, this part wasn't so bad. Woods really had a lot of pent-up anger or something because he just soloed the entire place.
Cash is ours. You fight bravely, American!
We got a call from Hudson after clearing out the hideout thing. Instead of telling us what the problem was, he decided to do that cliche movie trope of saying, guys, you might want to come take a look at this, while sitting on important information. I guess the twist here, though, is that it wasn't important at all, since his information was just that, like, 3 tanks and a helicopter were coming to attack the base. Crazy stuff. Woods and I decided that we didn't want to live anymore, and so we decided to charge at the heavily armored tanks on horses. Unfortunately for me, my attempt wasn't successful, and I had to keep playing this stupid mission. I hopped onto the tank, and oh my god, it's Kravchenko. For those who don't know, he's the guy who knocked out Woods and brought him to the Hello Kitty girl date in the first place, so naturally we weren't very happy to see him. I'm an empath, and so I felt Woods' anger on such a personal level that I had to exhibit conscious effort to not pop this baldy right here where he sat. Luckily, Woods did it for me and I didn't have to add another kill to the count, after Kravchenko let it slip that the Hello Kitty girl that tortured Woods was actually some guy called Menendez. What a stupid name. It turns out we were being tricked all along. The people we were helping were actually all Hello Kitty girls, and we were their dates. We were cooked, chat. After a night I don't think anyone in the group wants to talk about, we were rescued by that guy from Call of Duty World at War, and I completed the mission. Menendez was cooked now. Me, Woods, Hudson, and the neighbor's kid, just ignore him, he's weird, we're gonna prank him for what he did to Woods. He was doing a drip inspection on himself and we caught him lacking hard. The prank was simple. We were gonna smash his sister's head in against a table, but for some reason Menendez was a bad sport about it and had a meltdown. We tasked Noriega, our neighbor's kid, he's weird, to take Menendez into timeout, but unfortunately for us, Noriega just let him go instead, like an idiot. He can forget about getting an invite to our next sleepover. I don't care what my mom says, he's not coming. As you may have expected, this first part was really easy. Menendez's increased health and speed made it really easy to just run past literally everybody, and before I knew it I was able to give Hudson a hug and move on to the next section. Now we're Mason, not Menendez. We were running down the hill when Hudson made a remark that our enemies were hardcore, but they definitely weren't. Unless Hudson meant that they were hardcore junkies. He was wrong, because I was able to run past literally all of them in this first section. They didn't like that very much, so they put an MG truck in our way, but I ran past that too, and it exploded for no reason. I tried to continue my whole running away thing, but the cartel must have had a cloning operation going on in the building up ahead. Woods and Hudson were hiding, and so I spent the next few minutes shoving them out of cover until they cleared out enough of the guys that I could run through and move on. The next section was one of those sections where I actually had to use my brain a little bit. We had to clear out a courtyard of enemies and my team refused to even go into it. My first idea to solve this problem was just to kind of wait around, where I quickly decided to become a sellout. Guys, look, do that thing. Do that, yeah. Yeah, oh, there it goes. After that didn't work in the game, and probably in real life, I decided to try pushing my team into action. It also didn't work. Running out of ideas, I decided I could at least try and identify the problem. Since as a kid, I don't ever remember having a problem with my allies in this area, implying to me that some kind of script kept them there until you killed an enemy that most people would kill right away. The suspects were the MG guy and the 3 RPG guys above him on the balcony. The MG guy was the easiest to mess with, so I started with him. I could knock him off his gun and even steal it for a little bit, but he would always come back to get onto it. This seemed kinda odd to me, so I decided to take a page out of Hector Salamanca's book and use the RPG guys above him to get rid of him. Did I kill him with that? Oh my god. It worked. My plan worked. My plan worked. Oh my god. With that huge success in the books, we went down to Menendez's basement to keep pranking him by killing all of his employees. And by we, I meant just Woods. I ran to the other end of the basement and I would have just left Woods, but I needed to use both hands to hold my pistol, which left none free for me to open the door. So I had to wait for Woods to come open the door for me. Once we got above ground, Woods started having a meltdown. I think it's pretty funny that developers intended for this to be like a scene where Woods loses it. He just like runs ahead and gets like a ton of kills with no help from the player. He doesn't need you. But for me, this was far from the first time I'd seen this kind of behavior, and the scene had literally no effect on me. Upstairs, we were about to go shove a camera in Menendez's face and film his reaction to our pranking session, but Woods didn't fill me in on the surprise prank where we shoot him in the liver. Knowing that YouTube would take the video down, I grabbed his gun and was able to stop him, and he thanked me for this with a kiss. We agreed to prank him by throwing a grenade into his bedroom instead, but he just ran in anyways. Luckily, YouTube can't prove anybody died in there, so the video's up now and it's a big hit. Hutchin told me I did a great job, and I completed the mission with 0 kills. We're back in the present day now, and we were in trouble. I'd lost my vape pen, and Harper was screaming in my ear about it when he knew full well I was an addict and needed to find it. He had a meltdown and accidentally woke up this robot thing, which promptly stepped on my vape and crushed it. I was super pissed, but at least this robot thing can help us clear out the store. Getting through the store was a breeze, given that I had 3 allies and 2 claws to help me. At first, this drone seemed scary, but I ran up to it, triggering a scripted vehicle to spawn in and hit it, allowing me to move on easily. The streets were a little bit harder, even with our team up on the rooftops allegedly helping me, but I was able to push through and trigger the bus to come around the corner. I was hoping that Harper would heroically sacrifice his life to save mine, but he wasn't in the mood for that and just helped me open the gate instead. What a fake friend. Next up was the obligatory stealth segment, and I was not nervous at all. I was right to feel this way, as I didn't mess up even one time. Anyways, this next section sums up pacifism pretty perfectly in this game.
Take the guy on the right. Other one's mine. Yeah, thanks for nothing. We're clear. Move up.
I slid down a water slide, became Batman for a little bit, and I was met with a serious problem. Harper wanted me to stab a guy in the neck so we could get a clear view for recording Menendez's super secret meeting. If you try to leave, you die. If you try to ram the guard off of the building, you die. Jump off the roof, and get this, you die. I had no other choice but to stab him in the jugular to continue the mission. Now we had Menendez right where we wanted him, and it stayed that way for about 15 seconds. While following him, Harper killed an unarmed enemy. According to the Geneva Convention, this is actually allowed, so Harper avoids catching another war crime to his counter due to the technicality that the enemy he killed had a uniform on. Next up, I was supposed to deal with this idiot hanging out by a truck. I tried my hardest to avoid it, but like the last guy, I was instantly killed if I broke the mission in any way. However, I believe that this shouldn't count as a kill, since it looks like we just knocked him out with a bang to the head. Now we had Menendez right where we wanted him, for real this time. What were we trying to do? Ask Harper. Either way, the jig was up, and the bad guys messed with the thermostat to try and get rid of us. Harper and I seized the opportunity to enjoy our new improvised hot tub for a minute, and then we headed up to the garage to leave. What was in the garage, you ask? A bunch of nonsense. The game wanted me to take control of the robots from the beginning of the level to kill everybody. I didn't want to do that, so I switched back to being a human. The game didn't like that, and it nuked me out of the garage on my first try. The second time around, I found a better hiding spot, and the drone that was harassing me blew up for no reason, allowing me to hop in the whip with the homies. I destroyed this barricade without hurting anybody, and I was off to the races. I did a bunch of careful driving, and when given the choice to switch to the drone, I opted to stay in the car. Random hit markers kept scaring me as I thought I was accidentally running over people. At first, I would just reload a checkpoint by crashing the car into a building or letting someone else kill me, but then I had the thought that maybe the lunatic on the machine gun, Harper, was responsible for my hit markers. He was. Although it was nice knowing I wasn't killing any people, this became a bigger pain in the ass as I now had to pay closer attention to how I was driving, which I really didn't feel like doing at 1:30 in the morning. Anyways, we drove through the lava factory, made it to the evac point, and there were just a bunch of dudes hanging out, Chinese dudes. We explained to them that we were just a bunch of chill YNs trying to make it out of the hood like they were, and they seemed pretty chill about the whole thing, so they gave us a ride. The mission ended, and I completed it with a single kill. I thought the guys could use a little vacation after that nonsense in Pakistan. A little treat for everyone doing so well. We pulled up to the function and got in the elevator when it happened. I thought Harper was my friend, and he took advantage of me when he knew I couldn't run away, all while Salazar did nothing to stop it. After doing some research that definitely got me put on a list, I was able to conclude that this is a war crime. So we'll add another war crime onto Harper's counter. Salazar and I had arrived at our destination, the weird construction site 4. They were at max capacity, so Salazar came up with a plan to shoot everyone in there and make some room for us. Once they were all dead, we sent a spider out to scan some dude's eyeball. Don't even get started with me pretending that this might count as a kill. It says disable above his name, and the characters make it pretty clear we're just tasing him. Anyways, I got the eyeball scan, walked into the room. Farid painted everyone red, and I was successfully able to bait everybody into Salazar's fireball spell radius. While we were there, I decided to scroll Tinder a little bit, to maybe find a Mrs. BammerHammer. What we found instead was even more shocking. A real-life, genuine Hello Kitty girl. She would know all of Menendez's plans since he was one too, and our little vacation was cut short as we decided to start looking for her. Menendez caught wind of this and sent people after us. I killed this guy in a cutscene, but the fight back to the elevators was the same old, same old. Pretty easy, unremarkable. My Riz game is still strong, so I headed down to the club. I considered trying to meet a goth woman there that would ruin my life, but I decided I would save that for my late 20s, since that's when I plan on completely losing my mind anyways. I don't really know what got into Harper, but he was assaulting somebody else on the dance floor, so that's another war crime. I decided to step in and show Harper the proper way to give a woman shaken baby syndrome, but we were interrupted by this jerk. His Riz method of shooting people in the head until he got a girlfriend was the most genius thing I've ever seen. It worked flawlessly. It took literally 15 seconds for him to get a girlfriend out of it. Oh hey, look at that, where that B-roll footage from the beginning of the video. You know, that part where I like whined about how hard this challenge was. Yeah, anyways, this part wasn't hard. Harper throws a frag grenade at the end that kills literally everybody, so you don't really have to worry about it. We left the club after that. Harper touched another person without consent, and I ran through the next 2 sections with ease and caught up to DeFalco, where the real mission began. Catching up to DeFalco, he would stop running away and stand his ground for a little bit, so would the enemies nearby. A fun side effect of sprinting through the previous section was that my allies weren't even caught up yet, meaning I had to face DeFalco and his cronies for about 30 seconds. This wasn't like 30 seconds playing video games though, this was more like 30 seconds of someone gouging your eyes out. If DeFalco had line of sight on me, he would shoot at me and he would not miss. I think the game gave him hit scan. To make things even better, I found a secret failsafe for this part you're not supposed to see. An enemy will actually spawn behind you and is programmed to sprint towards your location and melee you until you're dead to prevent people from breaking this scene like I wanted to. He was also immune to stun grenades for some reason. After about 10 seconds, DeFalco would also begin chasing me along with his entire entourage. During one attempt, I spotted my friends on the other side of the area and ran over to them to make things fair. Surprisingly, they actually helped, dropping most of the enemies, the failsafe enemy, but leaving DeFalco alive. They then began running up the stairs, leaving me to die. But I managed to follow them and started looping DeFalco around a bunch of plants until this happened. Yeah, someone else killed him. Someone else killed him. Someone else killed him. One of the guards killed him. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Val, help me with the garbage.
I thought I was gonna have to like purposefully throw and not like get there in time and like have him escape. But I didn't have to do that. If you don't know what I'm referring to here, there's just an alternate ending for this mission where DeFalco escapes with karma, but that didn't end up happening, thankfully, and I was able to complete the mission with 0 kills. A huge W. We're in the past. This time I'm playing as Woods. Friggin' sweet. Noriega had crossed the line last time by letting Menendez go, so we were gonna go find and prank him by giving him what looks to be a bunch of pillows and some pinup girl pictures. I don't know, it was Mason's idea. I chit-chatted with the guys, McKnight sniped a 14-year-old with a beer bottle, and we pulled up on a rib to take oil rig. The game wanted me to throw a knife at this guy. Turns out you don't actually have to. I ran through the beginning area, and I'm running out of ways to say that I ran through an area. Here, I picked up the Nightingales, which are supposed to be used as a distraction, I guess. We dropped through a skylight, and Mason wouldn't help me with this enemy, so I tried out my new gadget. It promptly shot out a bunch of bullets all over the room and killed him. So yeah, we're not going to be using the Nightingales too much. When I reloaded the checkpoint, Mason dropped down and killed the guy for me, so the problem resolved itself. I breezed through the next few segments just by waiting for Mason to punch a small hole in their defenses, and then running through to the next area, and before I knew it, we were at Noriega's house. Noriega was cooked. We burst into his house, killed his friends. I killed a dude in a cutscene, so it doesn't count. And we finally met face to face. We obviously weren't super excited to see him, but I was still hyped to do the prank. But before we could go through with it, Hudson called us up on the radio saying that if we moved Noriega across town, we could do a super prank on him. I couldn't resist such a tempting offer, so we begun to move him across the town.
The bastards don't treat civvies any better than in Nicaragua.
And out of their minds on drugs.
Take them down. I'll keep the garbage in check.
I didn't realize it yet, but this area was my new home. This was easily the hardest challenge I'd faced yet, and I must have played through dozens of attempts here. Let me break it down for you, Mark. There's 3 cartel members beating up a bunch of people. Whether you intervene or not, it doesn't matter, they'll get aggroed on you either way. 2 have bats and will sprint at you relentlessly, and 1 has an assault rifle. Mason and Noriega didn't feel like helping me, so I was all alone in the parking lot with no obvious way to kill any of the enemies. I began to sniff around the area, and my first idea was to snap Mason out of it somehow. I found a god spot, but it was pretty obvious that he wasn't going to help no matter what I tried. I also found a small use for the Nightingale here, as it occasionally made everybody stand completely still. However, this wasn't really consistent, and a lot of the times they would just run into it and die anyways. I still hadn't found any useful information when it came to me. There were destructible cars in the parking lot, and I had an enemy that could shoot at them if I baited him correctly. I found 5 explosive cars in the lot, and as it turns out, 2 of them were in an area underneath an apartment that would confuse the melee enemies, causing them to stand completely still. I had everything I needed, and after a few unsuccessful attempts, I was able to make the gun guy blow up the car and kill his friends. Yes! Oh my god. Before we continue, I went ahead and drew up a little map of the area. The orange boxes are explodable cars, the gray ones aren't. Anyway, I was initially thinking I could just lure the gun guy over to a car, which turned out to be absolutely ridiculously hard to do, as he seemed to be restricted to this area that I've highlighted in the updated drawing. He preferred to stand where the dots were, but would occasionally wander out for whatever reason, and would also break his routine to try and melee me. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I was here for hours. I'd usually run out of cars within range of the gun guy, and it didn't help that I'd use one of those cars to blow up the melee guys on retries. I don't really think any additional commentary could truly get across how hard this was, and it felt like I was just throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it stuck. The only reason I didn't just shoot the last guy was this nagging voice in my head telling me it was possible and I wasn't trying hard enough. I'm not going to spend any more time on this section just so you, the viewer, can suffer alongside me. This will be my cross to bear alone. At least 30-something retries and a different loadout later, I was in the same old situation. I'd switched which car I killed the melee guys with so it was the one left of it, and I just had to stand in the right spot to bait the gun guy close enough to the car where I could then stun him and have him die to his own explosion. The reason that this took so long is it had to be done in about 5 seconds from the very second he shot enough bullets to set the car on fire. Anyways, this happened. Oh my god, please, please. Yes! Yes! Yes, dude! Yes, yes, yes!
Proceed to the army checkpoint beyond the slums. You'll be directed to the Nexus prisoner exchange
Oh my fucking god, bro, yes! I can fucking kiss you right now, man. Oh my god.
I must be allowed.
If my unfiltered reaction of just pure genuine joy doesn't sell how much of a nightmare this was, I don't know what will. Now that I can play the game again, it wasn't that bad at all. The sprint through the park was easy. The hospital section scared me for a moment, but wasn't that bad either. And we were able to drop Noriega off at the checkpoint without too much trouble. It was time for the ultimate prank. Hutchin didn't fill me in on what it was quite yet, but I was sure it was going to be good after our last banger prank where we blew up Menendez's room. We headed up to the roof, Noriega shot a guy, and I was given a sniper rifle. I was super excited when I saw them bringing out a person with a bag over their head. What a perfect prank. We were gonna put his dad in a wheelchair. I shot him right in the leg and headed down to get a look. I realized something was wrong when Noriega was still smiling after I crippled his dad for life. I knew something was wrong, and I realized I had been tricked into pranking my BFF Mason. Right when I was about to prank Noriega back, I got double pranked by Menendez. I was mad, but it quickly turned into dread as I realized he had another Hello Kitty girl date planned for everybody. It turns out that his room had a Zaza stash in it when we blew it up, and he never really got over it. He was trying to get to the bottom of whose idea it was, and I was about to own up when Hudson took the fall for me. He was edging the entire date and wanted the Hello Kitty girl finisher done to him. Hudson was gone. I never really forgave him for being terrible on the first mission, but actually there's no but. Menendez did his impression of EDP, and I completed the mission with 0 kills. Now we're Farid in present day again. Apparently we thought that the best guy to be a double agent would be the nervous wreck that usually hacks into stuff for us. He met up with Menendez, we walked around, and what the fuck? Why is fucking DeFalco alive again? What the... But he died. Whatever. Menendez sung some fucking song, the crowd went wild, a plane got blown up, and Menendez told me to link up with him later. For the entire segment where you're playing as Farid, aka half of the mission, I'd argue that this is the only mission in the whole game where I was actually playing the game correctly, as Farid is a double agent and ultimately any kills you get would be on his own people. Because of that, the level throws a cloaking suit at you, which I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now makes this entire game a joke, and I won't waste time explaining sections where I have one unless there's a significant roadblock. I linked up with Menendez. He made an incorrect assumption about the strawberry jam on my hands.
American blood on your hands, Freddy.
No, actually. He blew up another plane, and holy crap, Harper was in it. This was the toughest choice I'd faced by far. Although Menendez was a war criminal himself, Harper somehow managed to come across as the bigger villain here. I made no choice, and then Menendez got pissed and shot me over it. Rip Farid, I guess. When I switched over to playing as David again, for some reason nobody killed Harper even though he was an enemy of their faction, so I guess his reign of terror can continue. I also had the cloaking suit again here for some reason, so I breezed through the rest of the level with my eyes closed. We had Menendez right where we wanted him, for like the 12th time. But this time was going to be different for sure. We slapped the cuffs on him so we could make him answer for his Hello Kitty crimes, and I completed the mission with 0 kills. Menendez was in the slammer, and Salazar was doing a terrible job getting any information out of him. Still, he needed legal representation, so I stepped in as the lawyer. I was in the middle of hashing out a plea deal that he seemed to be down for, but we were tricked yet again and interrupted by his stupid friends launching an attack on the boat we were chilling on. I turned around for like 1 second, he somehow got free, and Salazar was in trouble. I couldn't have cared less, but Harper was on the other side of the boat, so I needed to keep him around just in case anything bad happened. I got knocked out, and when I came to, he was gone. Again. big shock. We had to fix this, and by we I meant Salazar. He cleared out the entire first area for me, and I was on my own for the next part, aside from a few friendly companions. The broken shock charge tactical grenades and my flashbangs carried me through the next few parts. Inside of the ship again, Harper hacked the turrets, making this part also fairly easy, and I was able to run to the server room to get to the next segment of the mission. Once tapped into the security feed, we realized what was going on. Menendez was going to prank us before he left. He was hanging out with DeFalco, the guy who already died, and they were able to take control of the situation and catch Briggs lacking despite Briggs' intense woman self-defense classes. Things were gonna get okay, what the fuck is going on with my game? Yeah, this marks the second time that somebody has come back to life in this playthrough, and I really don't know why. Salazar made his move. I couldn't believe he was a bad guy. DeFalco and Farid also both died for the second time, and Menendez uploaded his virus to cripple the US government to our boat as a prank. I shot Admiral Briggs in the leg, Salazar got captured off screen, and we went up to confront him. He was in the middle of telling us his tragic backstory when Harper decided to add another war crime to his count by shooting a restrained POW in the head. I think he's at like 5 war crimes or something now. Jeez. The whole boat situation was whack, so we decided to bounce, and I completed the mission with 0 kills. You may have noticed the quickened pace of the covering of the last 2 missions. It was to make time for this mission, and also because not much happened in them. What a pain in the ass. Oh, looks like my friends want to play video games. I guess we'll cover this afterwards. That was a terrible idea. We played Dead by Daylight custom matches with 5 of us, and I had just lost to a skull merchant with purple add-ons and like 3 generator perks. Anyways, we're back now, and I was already mad before the mission even started. What are we doing, you ask? LA is under attack, and it's our mission to drive the president straight into the city for some reason, since I guess she was never there before and figured now would be the good time to do some sightseeing. Anyways, like every vehicle in a Call of Duty game, the little car eventually crashed, and I thought that this would be a good time to be a smartass. Does that look like good news to you? Okay, first real gameplay segment, and things weren't looking good already. You're supposed to jump onto a SAM site and blow up a bunch of drones. If you don't do it and stand around, you die. If you jump on the gun and don't shoot it, you die. I very quickly ran out of options and was forced to shoot the drones down. Thankfully, I only failed my bonus objective to not shoot robots here, but it was definitely a bad omen and a sign of things to come. If for whatever reason you're inspired to do your own pacifism challenge on this game, I will say that you don't have to shoot down all of the drones, but I didn't bother finding an exact number because, like I said, this is a bonus objective. I didn't care that much about it. We rappelled down off the highway, and I carefully pushed forward with my team, despite there being a flashing red marker that kept telling me to hurry up. You're failing, hurry up. Once we made it to the trucks, a bunch of MG trucks and guys pulled up to get in the way. Luckily for me, all I had to do was wait for this Agent Phillips guy that was separated from the rest of his squad, I guess, to take them out, which usually only took like 2 or 3 minutes. The driving segment was up next, and Harper said his hands were cold, so it was up to me to drive. Driving was scary because it was clear that the devs wanted you to ram into literally every car you saw here, but I managed to avoid any casualties by driving funky and taking wide angles around people. Things were going awesome, and then a woman driver came out of nowhere and totally cut me off, which knocked me out for a minute. We were on the streets now. I was lucky Harper teleported over to this claw and killed it for me, or I might have been in serious trouble. I let the drones out of their cages and began playing around with the area. I thought I could just run past everybody again, but for once the devs actually set up a kill barrier, meaning I was forced to play the game normally. I confirmed this was the case by running over to the kill area a second time. Now knowing that I had to destroy the 2 claws to progress, I was hoping Harper and the others could handle it, but they seemed to be dumber than usual here. They would stay back in friendly territory while the claws would retreat further into enemy territory, making it pretty unlikely that they would do damage to them. I decided to make somewhat of a controversial decision. I made the discovery that the friendly drones I freed could fire missiles if and only if I targeted the claws with them. I felt kinda icky about this, but I was pretty sure nobody else on the map could damage them. So I targeted both claws with my drones and destroyed them. Whether you consider this a failure or a success in pacifism, no humans were killed, and worst case scenario, I just failed the bonus objective again. I rescued Smith with a lowercase s, ran through the next part, and then sat through the part after that, causing God to get so angry at me for cheesing the game that he smoted or smited a building down, whichever one it is. I didn't die though, and I got to fly a plane. Harper decided to chime in with some advice, given that it was my first time flying one.
Ever fly one of these things, Section?
No.
Well, you're gonna fly one now, buddy.
Wow, Harper, I don't know why we waste time with stuff like colleges, universities, or schools in general. In 2 sentences, Harper was able to give me all the knowledge required to be a military jet fighter. It really just is that easy. You just say, hey, have you done a surgery? They say, no. And then you reply, well, you're gonna do one now, buddy. And then bam, 12 years of college, obsolete. I was supposed to protect the president's convoy. I didn't want to do that shit though, so I flew around and watched them die while observing what actually killed them. It was pretty obvious to me after a single spectating session that the helicopters were the only actual problem. You have to get rid of about 3 helicopters to progress. I'll get to the explanation later, but the number's 3, maybe 2. But are they helicopters? I initially said yes, the game calls them helicopters. Despite this though, they have the drone helicopter model, and the wiki also calls them drones. If this is true and they're unmanned, we can kill them without further failing the challenge. I'm going to say that they are drones. In this game's version of 2025, almost all technology is remotely controlled or can function independently of a human. Even if something super fucking complicated like the VTOL we're flying in right now in the footage is so futuristic with its computer that David, someone who's never flown before, is able to. They even make a joke about it. We don't see a single manned helicopter even one time in the 2025 storyline, come to think of it. So it's fair game. Anyways, I destroyed 3 drone helicopters despite my best efforts and took off to the skies. This part was torture. First of all, my game crashed, which caused me to reset it obviously, and I lost about 20 minutes of my life getting back to the same spot I was just in. After this, you'd think that I would be shown a little mercy, but the game decided to stomp down while I was already biting the curb. The first wave of drones was easy, I didn't even have to shoot them, my allies did all the work. I got a checkpoint, and then the president's vehicle was destroyed. What I'm about to show you right now on the screen is the unedited time it took me to fail the mission via a hidden timer from the moment I restarted at my last checkpoint. Yup, 10 seconds. The game gave me 10 seconds to kill every drone in the sky. I tried, I sure did. I couldn't do it. I was soft locked. I tried to avoid destroying the drones, and this is how they repaid me. 30 minutes of my life went down the crapper here. You know that strange gaming phenomenon where you'll start messing up easy stuff on the way to the hard thing you keep losing on? That started happening here, and by the end of the mission I had a meltdown to say the least. After finally getting back up into the sky, I didn't F around anymore. I shot all the drones down. You could probably avoid shooting some of them down. I don't know. Go play the mission for yourself if you really care about that sort of thing. To me though, this was just another bonus objective that I failed, and I was indifferent to it. Either way, I parachuted out, called Harper to come pick me up, and I completed the mission with 0 kills. We were a little sick of Menendez's crap, to say the least. Prank us all you want, but trying to set up a Hello Kitty girl date with the president was too far. It was time to make him pay for what he did. It was looking like we were going to have a nice smooth landing at his super secret hideout when something horrific happened. I spotted it only a second too late, but our pilot was a female, and we had to take the fast way down to the ground. We landed on the ground, Harper yelled at me, and I cried, and then it was sprinting time. I sprinted through the entire facility, and honestly, I don't want to glaze myself too much, but this is probably some of my slickest running gameplay. I don't know why I was so locked in, but I was bobbing and weaving like I was Prime Ali. The only thing that even gave me trouble was the front door. I was able to make it to the control room, where Menendez told his Hello Kitty girl cult to rise up and go on dates with everybody in the world. We were too late to stop the broadcast, but we weren't too late to stop him. I put my Nikes on and started strafe jumping around all the invisible bozos. Somebody must have dropped a "your mom" on the floor because the whole thing collapsed. I grabbed a beam instead of falling like an idiot, and there he was, Menendez. It was finally time for "oh come to fuck on." How the fuck has DeFalco come back to life 3 fucking times? This isn't a scripted bit for the video, I actually don't understand why this keeps happening. Whatever. You don't shoot the generic goon, you die. You don't shoot DeFalco, you die. If the game worked properly and DeFalco is dead, there's just a random goon in his place anyways. No matter what, I had to add 2 kills to the count right at the end. I was pissed at Menendez and wanted to end this once and for all, but I pulled a The Last of Us 2 and just didn't kill him at the end, even though it would be really satisfying. Well, there you have it. Here's the final count. Surprisingly, if you operate on the logic I did, you only have to kill people on 4 of the 11 main missions. Not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Anyway, if you can't tell by the length of this video, this has easily been my most high effort project by a mile. In early February, I spent a few days recording. Then I kinda dropped the idea for a bit. It didn't do very well. Recently though, about 2 weeks ago, I dug it back up to finish it. A week of recording and a week of editing was put into this. If you've made it to the end here, I'd appreciate a like, and possibly a sub if you want to see more of me. A video doing well is the best way you can indirectly ask me for more content like this without leaving a comment. Anyways, that's all I got for you. See you later. Subscribe. Bye.